You're already doing draft prep for fantasy baseball? Good. That's how you get ahead of the competition. Let's look at some of the top sleeper candidates among hitters for 2024. These are some players that your league mates are going to undervalue or maybe don't even know about. Kerry Carpenter, outfielder for the Detroit Tigers. Carpenter wound up with a surprisingly solid stat line, 278 on the season, hit 20 home runs, and 64 RBIs. Overall, that gave him some fringe fantasy value throughout the second half, put up some counting stats. This guy who has definitely upside for more. Remember, just the year before, across AA and AAA level, he combined for 30 home runs, and he hit well over 300 throughout his minor league career. The reason fantasy owners might not go crazy for him is the fact that he plays in Detroit. But let's take a look at this offense. A bunch of young players in that lineup, and they're starting to come on. Riley Green is just hitting really well. His season got disrupted by an injury, but he came back strong. And then we finally saw Spencer Torkelson finally come around and start to look like the prospect he is. And the other thing is, Comerica Park, typically known as a pitcher-friendly park and very hitter-unfriendly. They did adjust some of the dimensions there, and we saw a difference last year in terms of overall park factor. Comerica was 19th. That represents a huge improvement. That's pretty much middle of the road there, but compared to where it was always near the bottom for hitters, it's starting to come around, at least be close to league average. If Carpenter gets a full season worth of at-bats with guys like Green and Torkelson ahead of him in that lineup, he could get to 90, maybe even 100 RBIs in this budding lineup, so don't be shocked if he winds up as a steal in the mid to late rounds. So let's look at Luke Raley in that Rays lineup. Yeah, he put up some good numbers for fantasy, wound up with 19 home runs and 14 steals last year. The issue is that he's not an everyday player, only wound up at 357 at-bats on the year. Now, if you're playing in a points league, that does matter more. In Roto, you're still looking at a guy who had 19 home runs and 14 steals, 49 RBIs, 56 runs. Not outstanding, but again, we're looking at sleepers, late round picks. And if you know that you play in a league that has daily lineup changes, then you can mix and match here. He's not going to hurt you by taking zeros when he doesn't play because you can swap him out so you can platoon him in your fantasy lineup. There is an opportunity for more playing time here. The Rays, we never know exactly what they're going to do. But hey, Raley at first base here. Should be noted that they traded away Kyle Manzardo last year. Manny Margot is now in LA. They're going to have to probably count on Raley a little bit more. And I'll say I would rather have a guy in a potent lineup who can get me some strong production on a weekly basis as opposed to somebody who's just accumulating at-bats but not doing much with them on a weaker team. Tampa Bay last year, 3rd in team batting average, 4th in runs scored, and 4th in stolen bases. So even though you'd be shocked to say, well, there's no way Raley is going to steal that many bases again, with the new rules and with the fact that Tampa Bay runs so much, he probably will. And he has shown that he can hit the ball hard. He posted a barrel rate in the 84th percentile last year, exit velocity in the 77th percentile. Batting average is not great, but he managed at least to hit 249, outperforming his XBA by a bit. Look, you're looking for counting stats here, the ones that are hard to come by, especially home runs and, well, I guess steals aren't that hard to come by anymore, but still, you want somebody late in the draft who can help you with steals at first base, go for Raley. How about a middle infielder who went for 14 home runs and 14 stolen bases last year in just half a season's worth of plate appearances? Zach Geloff of the Oakland A's, another player that came on really strong in the second half, showed both power and speed. Again, only 300 plate appearances and went 14-14. Unless he comes crashing down and massively struggles, he's going to hold down that everyday second base job pretty much throughout the season, and his lineup spot should be really good. He batted second most of last year, and he's probably locked into that role, so he does have more run-scoring opportunities than everyone else in that lineup, but also should get the green light to steal plenty of bases. And the steals are not just a fluky thing either. He has a 91st percentile sprint speed. Right now, early drafts and mocks, Geloff is a bargain. I have a feeling his draft stock will rise throughout the preseason, so the earlier you draft, the better chance to take advantage of his suppressed ADP. Geloff seems like a bargain at second base. Catcher Logan O'Hoppe for the Angels looked like he might be a breakout candidate at catcher, and it didn't take long for his season to get disrupted with an injury in April. He was out for several months, didn't come back until late in August. But when he did, he came back strong and he showed off some of the power that made him so intriguing in fantasy. Just in September alone, went for 9 home runs. Although the sample is admittedly small, if you look at his barrel rate during that time, among the best in the league. You've got to take a hard look here. Ohapi, a promising young catcher, only 23. He's going to have the everyday job here. Nelson Velasquez, now in Kansas City, is also a guy who showed off some of his power, and he might be in store for an everyday job if he can be the DH. One of the reasons why the Cubs let him go and he didn't hold down an everyday job is the defense just wasn't there. But hey, the Royals, they got some room there. He can be the DH, and he probably will hit 7th in this lineup, at least according to Roster Resource, that's where he's pegged. Let's face it, the Royals massively underachieved last year, especially on offense. But with new management, maybe they'll get the most out of these players, like Vinny Pasquantino, back healthy. There's so much talent there. If they can just maximize what they've got, we could see Velasquez get some more RBI opportunities, and he already has the power to go deep. Really impressive if you look, a 21.4% barrel rate and a 49.1% hard hit rate. Again, if you lower the minimum plate appearances requirement, he's among the league leaders. And while his strikeout rate isn't great, he did lower it from the year before. I think this isn't really a pure slugger per se. Sure, power is his calling card, but I don't feel like this is a guy who's going to be a 3 true outcome kind of guy. The batting average probably won't kill you, and even though the RBI opportunities aren't going to be as high as some other teams, still, I feel like this offense should be better. Velasquez is going to be a very cheap source of power. And if you want to go deep, here's a late round, probably last round flyer, a prospect I've been eyeing in his days with the Yankees, Estevan Florial. He was moved to Cleveland, and he has a chance to compete for an outfield job in the Guardians. He hasn't quite cut it, only hitting 209, but he hasn't had a really extended chance to break through. And last year, he was a lot better when he got to the AAA level. I think this guy just needs a path to playing time, and now he'll have it in Cleveland. Cleveland posted the 3rd worst weighted runs created rate among outfielders. The only guys he's really competing with are Ramon Laureano, kind of cast off from Oakland, and Miles Straw. He might start the season realistically in a platoon with Laureano, lefty-righty, but he'll be on the strong side of it, and I feel like he has the chance to take over this job, or at the very least, to maximize his opportunities. Fantasy baseball season can't come soon enough. I know you're ready, like me, to draft and get those rosters filled. You don't have to wait though. You can try right now on Underdog Fantasy, the bullpen. It's their fantasy baseball tournament, up to $75,000 in prizes, and it's just a $5 entry. Get your draft fix right now and have a chance to win big. Underdog Fantasy, if you haven't signed up now, try it out. Use promo code Endgame, and that gets you a deposit match also of 100% up to $100.